I want to go through a heuristic derivation of the path integral from classical field theory because it is a nice transition from classical mechanics to quantum mechanics, and in particular, in this case, the path integral formulation of quantum field theory, to be more precise. Let's consider the action. In general, an action in physics is written as an integral of the Lagrangian over time. So integral L dt, and the differential of the action can be written as the Lagrangian dt. Then, at this point, one can remember that the Lagrangian can also be expressed in the following manner. So we can write the Lagrangian as p dot x dot. So p is the vector related to momentum, and x dot is the vector related to the velocity of our system, minus the Hamiltonian dt. So this is the Lagrangian. The Lagrangian can be written like this because the Hamiltonian can be written as p dot x dot minus the Lagrangian. And therefore, this can also be written as p dot dx minus h dt. Therefore, the change in the action, ds, can be written as dx dot p minus dt times h. Now, if we transition from classical mechanics to quantum mechanics, we have to replace momentum with its corresponding operator, and the corresponding operator is minus I h bar d over dx. So this is the gradient, and this is the usual Planck constant, the reduced Planck constant, and h, which is the energy, should be replaced with its corresponding operator. The energy operator can be written as I h bar derivative with respect to time, partial derivative with respect to time. And therefore, in the classical, from the classical theory to the quantum theory, we replace the change in the action with its corresponding operator. We denote it like this, and it can be written as I h bar times, let's put a minus also here, so we have dx dot gradient with respect to the x coordinates, and then we have plus dt d over dt. So what is this object here? This is a total differential, if you want. So it means that the change in the action, and we are thinking of this as an operator in this case, is equal to minus I h bar, a change in a certain quantity. So this should be treated as an operator. In this case, it was the total differential, but in this case, it means, it is something more general. It means that we are considering a certain change with respect to some variables, and the variables do not necessarily need to be these spatial variables and the time variable. They can be fields. In the classical theory of fields, the Lagrangian, instead of the Lagrangian, we have the Lagrangian density, which depends on fields and derivatives of fields. So this change can be generalized to the classical theory of fields. And this is how we can interpret the action. So this is an important heuristic derivation, because it's heuristic because it's not formal, it's informal. The procedure is not mathematically clear if you really think about it in a rigorous way, but it can help you think about this, and it can help your intuitive understanding. Now, having this operator delta S, we will construct the following inner product. So first, let me define the state phi. So I'm using the bracket notation. This is a ket vector. You can think of this, for simplicity, as a column vector. So if you act with an operator on phi, for example, let's take delta S, you're going to get something like some kind of matrix, which is not really the correct way of thinking about this, but One way of thinking about this, to simplify and to imagine what's happening, is that you have some object acting on a vector. So you can think of that as a matrix times a vector, a matrix applied to a vector for simplicity. And then I'm also going to consider the bra vector phi plus delta phi, which is a small change of this state phi. So the field phi is going to be perturbed by a small amount that I call delta phi, and then I'm using this other notation, and when you see such notation, it means that this is a bra vector if you want, or for simplicity you can think of this as a row vector. So the inner product is row vector phi plus d phi operator, and then you have a column vector. So for example, in linear algebra, you see something like a vector transpose, then you have a matrix A, and then you have another vector. This will give you a scalar. So what we are going to get from this is a scalar. Now let me cancel this. And the scalar that we are going to get is basically some kind of average of this operator between the state phi and the state phi plus delta phi. So if we divide this by the inner product between phi plus delta phi and phi, we are really going to get some normalization of this average. So we are going to get the average of this operator here. And the average of this operator, we can define this to be the classical change in the action at the field phi. So since we are averaging between two neighboring states from phi to phi plus delta phi, we can define this quite intuitively. So this is not a proof, this is some heuristic interpretation, heuristic explanation of what's happening. You're going to get the change in the action, the classical action. So you have to think that this is the classical action because it's an average of a quantum operator evaluated at the field phi, so near the field phi. You can think of it this way. Now let me rewrite this average here in the numerator. Let me rewrite it like this: phi plus delta phi, delta s phi. This should be interpreted like this. So delta s first is going to act on the bra vector like this, and then you take the inner product with phi, with the state phi, plus, and then you have the bra vector, and then we are going to act with delta s on the other state, which is phi, and here you take the inner product. So delta s acting on phi plus delta phi, you can see, I mean, you can guess that from here, because when you act with delta s on a state, you have to take a small change in the state. You have to consider a small change in the state, which means that we can rewrite this as minus I h bar. Then you have the change in the bra vector, phi plus delta phi, and then you have this, so you get plus phi plus delta phi, and here similarly you get minus I h bar, which you can also factor out if you want, and you have to evaluate the change in phi. So more compactly, you can rewrite this as minus I h bar times the change in the state phi plus delta phi inner product with the state phi. So when you act with delta on this inner product, you can split the inner product with the usual rules for derivatives. Simple as that. Now let me rewrite what we have just obtained like this. So let's divide this expression phi plus delta phi, delta s operator phi. We divide this by the inner product between phi plus delta phi. Now let me multiply this by I. So we have that this is equal to I times the change in the classical action evaluated at phi So we can rewrite this as h bar, the change in the inner product between phi plus delta phi phi, divided by the inner product between phi plus delta phi phi, equal to I times the change in the classical action evaluated at the configuration of the field phi. What we have derived so far is known as the quantum dynamical principle, or also known as Schwinger's principle, which is related to the path integral formulation of quantum physics. So at this point, we can quite informally but still effectively integrate this expression. So we can write the natural logarithm of this inner product, phi plus delta phi phi, equal to is. So after we integrate, we have the action s divided by h bar. And therefore, at this point, we can exponentiate it. We have phi plus delta phi phi equal to the exponential of is of phi divided by h bar, where h bar is the quantum of action. The Planck constant can be thought of as a quantum of action because it has units of an action. And now at this point, if we want to calculate the inner product between a final state that I can call, so this is a generic final state phi out, and we have an initial state phi in, I can define it from this, or from this if you want, they are exactly the same, so I can integrate over some field configuration. So this is some differential that now I define informally. I will tell you a little bit more about it in a moment. We have to integrate over some field configurations. This states phi plus delta phi phi, because this state is very close to, this inner product is very close to the field configuration phi. So if we want to be more general and we want to consider more general configurations, we need to integrate and we need to define the meaning of this integral. But then after that, if we want this to be an amplitude such that its square is, the mode squared is less than or equal to 1, we need to normalize this. So we divide by this. Now let me explain better. To be more precise, the integral in the numerator is an integral performed from phi in to phi out, so we have to integrate over a certain configuration from the initial configuration to the final configuration, to be more precise. Whereas the integral at the bottom, so at the denominator, is an integral over all the possible configurations. So let me write it like this, all configurations. And therefore, since this is equal to this, we can replace this expression with the exponential of I s of phi divided by h bar, and similarly here in the denominator we have e to the I s of phi divided by h bar. Now let me tell you a bit more about this differential, this measure. This is the measure of the integral, and now I will be very informal, but if you want to be more rigorous, or at least you want to have some more information about it, you can read more about the path integral formulation of quantum mechanics or quantum field theory, or visit courses related to this subject, whatever you want. But here I just want to give you some intuition behind it without any claim to be mathematically precise. So let me tell you that this measure, d phi, is proportional to an infinite product of differentials of the kind d phi at some point x1, d phi x2, d phi x3, dot dot dot. You get the idea. So this is an infinite product because this x1, x2, x3 can span all the possible points in the space that you are considering. So they are infinite. There's an infinite number of them. And each of this differential, of course, you have to integrate over all the possible values that this phi of x1 can take. So the meaning of this, the way that you can picture this in your mind, is the following. So you have some kind of path that connects the initial configuration. You can call it phi of the initial point x0, for example, and you reach phi of xl. You can define this to be phi in, and you can define this to be phi out. And then you have to integrate over, so first you discretize this path, and then you have to integrate over all the possible values that these points can take, which means that you have to consider all the possible paths that connect these 2 points, because these 2 points remain fixed. And it's similar to the concept of the action. So in this case, you have to integrate over all these possible paths, and the paths that will give you the greater contribution are those that are close to the most likely path. What is the most likely path? How can you define it? Well, if you consider this exponential here, let's assume that we want to expand the action around a certain point phi 0. I call it a point, but it's a field configuration. So S of phi can be expanded as S of phi 0 plus, then we have to take the derivative of the action with respect to the field phi, so you have to think of this as some kind of a functional derivative, and then you multiply this by phi minus phi 0, so you have some kind of expansion plus, and you have higher order terms. So remember that the action appears in the exponential, which is a complex exponential. So this is a fluctuating term. The complex exponential defines some kind of fluctuations. And the more the action varies, the more the fluctuation. So when you sum over all the paths, since there is a large fluctuation, all those paths will generally give a small contribution to the path integral, because the fluctuations will cancel each other. But if the action becomes stationary, for example here, if this partial derivative, this functional derivative is 0, then you can see that the action is basically stationary. It is almost a constant near this configuration phi 0, which means that more or less this complex exponential will remain quite constant, let's say. So the fluctuations will diminish around this field configuration, which means that the contributions to the path integral will be larger.